The Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa say the potential for increased productivity and opportunities for agri-food transformation are huge in Africa. I spoke to Dr. Aliun Fall, FARA's board chair, and Dr. Yemi Akinbamijo, the executive director for FARA, to get more insight on how research could move the needle for agriculture in Africa.
It was a very, very important event for the really very first time in Africa to have, a dialogue center around agriculture transformation. And when we talk about the agriculture transformation, there's no way we can talk about the transformation without the technologies and the innovation. And as you know, technology and innovation are mostly generated by research in Africa. So in Africa, we have a potential of research at the national level, at the sub-regional level, and at the continental level. And partnership is very important because the NAS in the national level, they need to work at the sub-regional level for knowledge exchange. And for that, and also to have enough means for the research. And for that, they need to get organized at the sub-regional level. So we do have, sub-regional organization, and we have at least 4 sub-regional organizations in the West, in the East, in the South, and in the North. But at the continental level, we have to get all those sub-regional regional organizations to work together. And that's where FARA is playing a role in terms of coordination, in terms of advocating, and also being the contact, the link between research at the continental level with the African Union Commission. I guess last week meeting, we get all the, a lot of head of states to participate, and it was very, very important because major decisions have been taken from that meeting, and definitely we need to implement those decisions.
All right, the interesting viewpoints there expressed, and talking about the major decisions taken to shore up the agricultural production in Africa. Let me bring Mr. Akinbamijo into the conversation now, and trying to understand first on 2 ends here. First on the public investment side and also the private investment side, how we can ramp up research and development on the continent.
Well, thank you very much for this great opportunity to be able to speak to the issues around ramping up investments for agricultural research on the continent. Well, let me first of all start by saying that in the context of developing Africa's agriculture, there is no room for random motions. There's no room for random movements. So things have to be organized, things have to be systematic, and as you know, we are now going towards a kind of a transformation that is system-based. And within the system-based conversation, we've got the private sector and the public sector as partners that should be strengthening the investment in agriculture. Now, let me be clear on this, that without significant and coherent commitment of resources, investment, be it private, be it public, that should power Africa's agriculture, especially the research components, we will still be scratching this matter on the head. So it is very important that, as my board chair spoke largely last at that meeting, he honed in on the power of partnership. And, he gave an analogy that the insects, when they come together, they can move masses that are 10 times, 40 times their own body weight. So what that means is that we really need all hands on deck, especially when it comes to investments in agriculture. And to be frank, we've been talking about investment in agriculture for as long as 20 years. But there is a lot of talking, a lot of planning, a lot of preparation. The time to do it is now. Because in the face of all the challenges we are facing by the climate issues, by the COVID issues, by other social, youth unemployment, and so on, and the great potential that agriculture has, there is no better time to put all of this together and ensure that we bring both private and public sector investors into the game, and let's have a game-changing solution. Back to you.
No doubt, Mr. Akimbami just says the time is now, especially when you look at the level of potential that Africa has and how we can match that. Let me bring Dr. Alion Fowl back into this conversation. And I'm trying to understand in terms of capacity, how we can enhance our capacity as Africans, especially around the expertise that needs to drive the research to meet the dire needs of Africa as it is right now.
Yes, definitely. That's a very important question, and link also to the level of investment. Just like I said earlier, when you look at the NARS, which is the National Agricultural Research System, we have in every country in Africa, we have a research institute. But all those research institutes, they don't have all the capacities in terms of doing research, to their mandate. So what we need is to put on a system where we can improve the level of investment in terms of capacity building and allows those NARS working at the sub-regional level to have enough means to do the research which is oriented to the end users, let's say to the farmers. I'm just giving an example. In the West African region, we have a sub-regional organization we call CORAF, and CORAF with the World Bank have been working in the program we call West African Agricultural Productivity Project. And in that important program, we did have what we call Center of Specialization or Center of Excellence. So countries have been chosen to be the lead in terms of research. For example, if you come to Senegal, Senegal is working on dry cereal for the whole West African region. If you go to Ghana, Ghana is specialized in root and tubers for the whole African region. If you go to Mali, they are oriented in rice. You see, if you do like that and get countries around big laboratories at the regional level, we can have enough means to do the research we need for the whole African region. So we have to do that in all Africa. And to do that, we have to do it in the east, in the south, also in the north. But to do that, we need investment and building capacities, especially on human resources. We have to train people to be, such proficiency that they can do the research. But also we need really high-tech laboratories where we can do high-tech research. And this is very important because if you want to transfer agriculture in Africa, we need sound innovation, we need sound technology, and those technology can only be generated by high-standard laboratories.
No doubt, human capacity very crucial there to get the kind of outcomes that we're seeking in agriculture. Let me bring Mr. Akimbami back into the mix now. Earlier, you talked about a crucial part, which is partnerships, and I'd like to take it a step further and even take it to the level of inclusiveness, and especially when it comes to research. When you're talking about working with the entire ecosystem to get the best outcomes, bringing the farmers, the smallholder farmers into innovations that you're bringing and seeing how it works and improves outcome at the end of the day. I'd like you to speak to that, and also even if you could delve into how important that is as well, even to policy formulation.
Well, thank you very much once again. When it comes to the appreciation of the flow of technology, you used a word that is extremely important, and that word is ecosystem. The ecosystemic sense speaks of a community of practice. In that context, it's a whole gamut of stakeholders. And this is where FARA comes in. FARA being a network of networks, FARA being an institution that has a very significant convening power on the continent, is where we bring all the partners on the table and bring all the capacities that are needed at the same time on the same matter. So what we do is actually finding the bits and pieces, just as like you have in a jigsaw puzzle. To be able to have the big picture, you must have all pieces on the table. And so what we are trying to do that in an ecosystemic sense of pushing technologies and innovations, somebody dared say that in the subject of scaling If there are no technologies, you don't talk about scaling. When it comes to scaling, who is pushing what and who is pulling what? So in this whole context, we are looking at who are generating the technologies and who are the ones that are receiving, or in other words, embracing the technologies. But these two elements do not work independent of each other. So both the generators of the technologies and the end users of the technology and all the myriad of partners in between must of necessity be in sync. And this is what FARA does. That synchronization is FARA. We bring the missing middle into function, into practice, so that the whole system can become relevant.
All right, now let me, as we wind down now, let me give Dr. Farr the final word here. And I'd like you to comment on the areas around aligning our research to the regional priorities on the continent.
Yes, it's also a very important question. We need to align research and agricultural policy. Just like I said earlier, when you look at the sub-region organization, we have ECOWAS in West Africa, we have COMISA. Definitely Africa is organized around socio-economic big chunk of country getting together in the West, in the South, in the East. And they all each have their own policy, agriculture policy in that area, that ecosystem Dr. Yemi was talking about. So what we should do is the alignment of the priorities in terms of research and those economic bodies. And at the African level also, we need to align with the African Union Commission dealing with agriculture. The alignment is very important. This high dialogue meeting we had with the head of states, if you attend the meeting, you see all the recommendations that have been made is going towards align research and transformation. Now, if you want to align research and transformation, it means that in the environment, you should have policies, agriculture policy, which enable the farmers, the end users, especially the farmers, to own the technology and the innovation.